You ever notice how the most life-changing decisions you make, you actually never see coming? Like one moment you're a kid, and the next you're standing at a crossroads you never asked to be at. And the choice you make in that moment changes everything. This is the part of the story where I stopped being a child, where innocence died, and where I lost the one person I couldn't afford losing, my best friend. And where I learned that running from pain doesn't make it go away. It just makes you forget who you were before the pain found you. Denham Springs, Louisiana. It might as well have been another planet. Everything was different. The streets, the people, the humidity, the way people talked, the food, the culture. My dad and I moved into a small place, just the two of us. I kept telling myself it would be okay, that we'd figure it out, that choosing him was the right call. But there was this silence, this weight that filled every room. We worked together, eat together, exist together. But something was missing. Everyone was missing. My siblings were with my mom, living a life I wasn't a part of anymore. And I was here with my dad, both of us drowning in the same grief, but not knowing how to reach each other. I'd get texts from my mom. I love you. I'm praying for you. You're going to be okay. But I couldn't hear it because all I could think was, if you loved me, why'd you let this happen? Why'd you leave, Dad? Why did you break us? I blamed her, not because I thought she was the villain, but because blaming her was easier than feeling the grief. And the enemy used that blame to build a wall between us, between me and her love, between me and her prayers. Because the enemy knew if he could keep me isolated from my mother's intercession, if he could make me reject her love, then he'd have free access to destroy me. And for a long time, he did. And then came public school. I'd been homeschooled my whole life. Quiet mornings, one-on-one learning, structure, peace. Now, chaos. And you know what? I loved it. Not because it was good for me, but because it was loud. And loud meant I didn't have to think. I didn't have to feel. I didn't have to sit in the silent house and face the weight of what I've lost. For the first time in months, I could breathe. I made friends, real friends, kids who didn't ask me about my family, who didn't see the ache behind my smile, who let me pretend I was just a normal kid. And I clung to that. Every moment I could be out of the house, I was. Days turned into nights. Weekends disappeared. I didn't want to go home. I told myself I was having a social life, making friends, being a teenager. But the truth, I was running. Not running toward rebellion, not running toward sin. I was running from silence, from the absence, from the grief I didn't know how to process. Because I was a sheltered, loved child who had lost everyone and everything. And nobody was teaching me how to feel it, so I just avoided it. The relationship with my dad started to crack. But I need you to understand something. It wasn't because I blamed him. I never blamed my dad, not once, not even at 12 years old. Because even as a kid, I knew this wasn't him. I knew this wasn't my mom. I knew something dark was at work, something spiritual. I didn't have language for it yet. I couldn't name it, but I could feel it. The oppression, the attack, the enemy pressing in on our family. So the tension between us, it wasn't blame, it was grief. We were two wounded people living under the same roof, both grieving the same losses, both under attack from the same enemy, both drowning. And neither of us knew how to reach each other. I didn't know how to tell him, I miss who we were. I miss my best friend. I miss the days when we worked side by side. and when life made sense. So I just stayed out, avoided, ran to my friends. And he didn't know how to reach me, how to bridge the gap, how to father a son who was drowning in grief but wouldn't talk about it. So the tension built. The silence grew heavier, and eventually it exploded. We fought, with words at first, but then fists. The kind of violence that happens when pain has no other outlet, when grief turns to rage because you don't know what else to do with it. And I don't tell you this to make you feel sorry for me, or to paint him as the villain, because he wasn't. We weren't fighting each other. We were fighting the same enemy, we just couldn't see it. So we destroyed each other instead. The enemy isolated us, wounded us both, and then turned us against each other. Because this is how he works: divide, isolate, destroy. And I fell for it. Not because I hated my dad, but because I didn't know how to grieve losing my best friend. And then came the night that changed everything. We got into it again, and I don't even remember what started it. A curfew, homework, something small that represented everything big we couldn't talk about. And then he said it: "I'm taking your phone." I know how that sounds, pretty childish, right? Like, really? This is what broke you? A phone? But you have to understand, that phone was everything to me. It was my lifeline, my connection to the only people who made me feel normal, to a world outside that silent, heavy house. It was my voice, my freedom, the only thing I felt like I had control over. And when he reached for it, something inside me snapped. I wasn't thinking, I was just done. Done fighting, done crying, done trying to make it work, done pretending like we're okay, done. I packed my bag, called a friend's mom, and left. I didn't just walk out of a house that night. I walked out of my childhood. I left my best friend. The person I wanted to be around more than anyone else. The person who taught me how to work, how to think, how to be a man. I left him standing there, alone, just like everyone else had. And I believed I had no choice, that it was him or me, that staying meant drowning. But what I didn't understand then, what I couldn't understand for years, was that I wasn't running from him. I was running from the pain of losing him, from the grief of watching our relationship die, from the unbearable weight of feeling like I'd lost my best friend. And when a kid loses their best friend, especially when that best friend is their father, they start running from pain, from memories, from themselves. And that's exactly what I did. I ran hard, fast, towards anything that would make me forget. And here's what the enemy knows. When you're running from pain, you're not thinking, you're not processing, you're not healing. You're just trying to get as far away from that pain as possible. And you don't care where you end up, you just can't stay where you are. And when you're that desperate to escape, you'll numb yourself with anything that promises relief. Alcohol, drugs, people, noise, chaos, anything. Because I learned something devastating at 14 years old. I'd learned that people leave, that love ends, and that even your best friend can become a stranger. So why trust anyone? Why stay anywhere? Why build anything? Just keep moving, just keep running, just keep numbing. And that's exactly what I did for the next decade.